I'm Nick and I like comics.
And I'm Adam and I know comics.
Welcome to another episode of Imperius Arcs, where we cover major story arcs and other comic book related tidbits to better inform and nerdify the world. So I watched through the Netflix Daredevil show and it is so good.
Yeah, I absolutely love the show. And I look forward to its second season as well as the other Netflix Marvel shows coming out, such as AKA Jessica Jones.
So on the Netflix show, we see some of the early vigilante days of Daredevil. What were the early issues of Daredevil like? Were they super dark and gritty?
More like bright colors, witty-ish lines, and lots of swashbuckling and romance. Most people think of Daredevil and see his iconic all-red costume, but before he wore that, he wore a primarily yellow suit with black and red accents.
And it looks kind of ridiculous.
I actually love it.
You would. So since we are going to talk about the first 6 issues of Daredevil today, let's talk about the top 6 things that we learned from these first 6 issues. First thing, Stan Lee has a ridiculous, repetitive writing style.
Yeah, Stan the man is a genius when it comes to ideas, but the guy does like to hammer them in. Every panel that Daredevil, also known as Matt Murdock, is in, Stan reminds the reader that the hero is blind, but also has heightened senses otherwise.
He writes lines like, "It's amazing how my other senses can compensate for my lack of sight. My sense of touch is so acute, this is like child's play for me." After a few of those, we get it, Stan. He's a blind superhero.
Stan also loves to let us know which characters are attractive and make sure that the characters let them know it as well. Matt Murdock's secretary and assistant Karen Page is described as a lovely woman, the prettiest decoration in the room, and many male characters openly admit her attractiveness to her in almost every panel she's in. It's arguably harassment. Maybe Karen's lawyer could help her out with that. Oh, well, wait. Matt Murdock is her lawyer.
As if that's not enough, Stan drives home that Karen absolutely loves the poor blind Matt, but wishes that he wasn't blind so that they could be together. She even pushes for him to have eye surgery so that he could see again.
Second thing we learned, Marvel is bold.
Imagine being a kid or a teen in 1963 and picking up a comic from a newsstand or a drugstore and seeing all the sci-fi suspense tales, cowboy comics, Superman-like heroes, and then you find a gem, a yellow devil costume hero who is blind. It's crazy.
Marvel liked to think outside the box when designing the heroes. I mean, Matt Murdock, he has red hair where most other publication heroes have either blonde or jet black hair. And in their efforts to be bold and different during the Silver Age, they incorporated teen romance-style love triangles into books like Daredevil in an attempt to broaden their readership. Heck, Stan wrote Foggy to propose to Karen after one date. Marvel wanted even their minor characters to be bold.
And Marvel proved through Daredevil that they were bold enough to basically do whatever they wanted and it would sell comics. The first issue of Daredevil presents him as being a street-level, gang-busting, swashbuckler type. The second issue, he fought the powered supervillain Electro, who launched him into space in the Fantastic Four's rocket, and he used his heightened senses to steer himself back to Earth safely. That's a ridiculous genre transition, but it works.
The third thing we learned is that villains don't define the comic. In these first 6 issues, there is a rotating cast of villains, many of whom are borrowed from other titles in the fledgling Marvel Universe. Guys like Electro, the Eel, and the Ox.
But even the new villains, like the Fixer, the Owl, Purple Man, El Matador, Mr. Fear, they're kind of lame. What defines these first 6 issues is how they are just plain fun. Bright colors, witty remarks, watching a blind guy beat up supervillains, the ridiculous love triangle. Who cares about who the villains are when you've got a blind superhero beating them up? That's way more interesting.
The fourth thing we learned is that to have a popular comic or comic book movie, you have to build a cohesive universe.
For example, Spider-Man is on the cover of Daredevil #1.
In the second issue, the guest stars The Thing and the Fantastic Four cameo at the end.
And Electro, a Spider-Man villain, is the comic's bad guy.
In the 6th issue, the Ox of the Enforcers is a borrowed Spider-Man villain, and the Eel first showed up in Strange Tales #112. Marvel has always known that team-ups and cameos are the way to get their new characters off the ground quickly and grow readership by showing the reader how cool the rest of the universe of characters is.
The fifth thing we learned is that Marvel's Silver Age suggests that people need almost no motive to become a villain. When they recap how Electro became a villain, it simply shows him getting shocked on a power line, getting electric powers, then saying something like, "Now mankind will know the power of Electro."
El Matador was just a matador who got gored by a bull in the backstory shown in issue 5, and he blames the audience, then becomes a criminal. Who was it that decided to join a line of work that puts you directly in harm's way? I think that was you, Matador. You did.
Good one. The Purple Man, the villain from issue 4, was a foreign spy who gets doused in purple chemicals, then learns that people now obey his every command. So naturally, of course, he turns to a life of strict, greedy villainy. The sixth and final thing we learn is that Daredevil is truly a unique character, especially for the Silver Age. Matt Murdock was a poor kid raised in Hell's Kitchen, the son of a local circuit boxer. Matt is blinded by chemicals as a teenager while saving a blind guy, how ironic, and then those chemicals enhance his other senses and sort of create a radar sense for him. His superpowers, unlike many other characters from the Marvel and DC universe at the time, are almost believable. When you lose one sense, your others become more heightened.
Well, there is that one scene where they show Daredevil somehow having the strength to launch an engine block by using a tire as a slingshot. I'm not really sure what Stan was thinking in regards to that, but it happened.
Then there's the fact that he is a self-made successful attorney. He's not a millionaire like Bruce Wayne, and he's not an alien like Superman. He's just a normal dude. He's an adult that works for a living and worked hard to get there, all while being blind.
But his blindness isn't really a handicap since he can read more than just Braille. He can even feel the ink on the pages. Another unique thing about him is that he solves most of Daredevil's problems in those first few issues as both Daredevil and attorney Matt Murdock. And Daredevil may be blind, but his sensitive touch is so sensitive he can feel the color of a fabric simply by touching it, which means he was fully aware of the bright yellow, black, and red color scheme of the costume he sewed together. He wasn't out to strike fear, he was out to make a fashion statement.
And boy did he ever. There's way more to take away from these first 6 issues and of these things, but we couldn't cram them all into just one episode.
If you want to read these issues in depth, they were printed in 1963 and are very expensive. But fortunately, have been reprinted in Marvel Essentials Daredevil Volume 1 and are easily readable on the Marvel Unlimited app. And if you love this version of Daredevil's costume as much as I do and want to see more of it, check out Daredevil Yellow, written by Jeff Loeb and art by Tim Sale. They're a great creative team and it's well worth the read.
Also, check out Daredevil Season 1 by Anthony Johnston and Wellington Alves for more yellow Daredevil in action. It's in graphic novel form and also on the Unlimited app.
Please like this video and let us know in the comments below which Daredevil costume you prefer, yellow, red, or some other rendition.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Until next time, I will be trying to heighten my senses.
How?